Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Wednesday, May the 25th. It is Ian Cameron. We'll have Jimmy Murphy, Andrew McGinnis momentarily. Alex will be back with us tomorrow. And we have another special guest here today on the Ice Guys show for a Wednesday. Tyler Harkins, pro hockey player currently, doing some other things outside of hockey as well. Jansen Harkins plays for the Winnipeg Jets as his cousin. So happy to have Tyler Harkins with us here on the Ice Guys. Tyler, what's up? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for having me. I'm clocking in here from Cleveland, Ohio. It's a beautiful day out here.
Yes, and a part of a very well-known hockey family, the Harkins family. Of course, you've got fathers and uncles and all kinds of your family that members that have been part of the game for a very long time. So you come from a hockey family. I'm sure that's where your love and interest in hockey started, when you've got so many people that you grew up under that played the game. But tell us about how Tyler Harkins got into hockey and your hockey journey, if you will, to this point.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, big hockey family with my dad and my uncles playing. My dad played college in Miami. My two uncles played in the NHL. Funny enough, though, my grandfather played football at Ohio State under Woody Hayes' command. And then, that going from a football family to a hockey family is pretty interesting. But, kept the blue collar in us for sure. For my career, though, grew up in Cleveland, played for the Cleveland Barons, ended up playing high school hockey here, then found my way to playing juniors. I stepped foot in Tier 3, then got up to the British Columbia League with Surrey, the Surrey Eagles, and then had a stint with the Amarillo Bulls. So junior career, 2 years, 3 teams, kind of fun. Get to meet a good amount of the boys. And I got to go to OU, Ohio University, which was, if anyone's looking to play ACHA hockey, OU's the spot for sure.
The Bobcats. I love that. I love that little song they do. Da 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 da. Whenever they get a touchdown. When I've been watching, I'm a MAC football fanatic. Ty, that's the one thing. I mean, I've been watching Ohio and Kent State, and Ohio and Buffalo, and Ohio and Bowling Green, and all these Tuesday, Wednesday night call. Of course, from a betting standpoint, as a sports bettor, I often have a little action and money on those games. So, I'm there watching Ohio football on a Tuesday night in November or October, and it's definitely a tradition there. So you played there a little bit. Where did you play just the most recent season that you had?
Yeah, most recently I was up with the Binghamton Black Bears in the FBHL. So unfortunately, my senior year was 2020, COVID class, and the leagues had shut down. We didn't get to go to nationals. We were poised to make a good run. So unfortunately, we didn't get our stab at it. But, I was lucky enough to get the call from Binghamton and got to play some games with them.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And tell us a little bit, too, about what you're doing off the ice right now as well.
Yeah, so off the ice, I am building a company. I'm the co-founder of Access. What we are is an online platform for athletes to monetize their content and fan engagement. So we're going to have, cameo style videos of shout outs. We're going to have tipping options for these athletes. As a gambler, I'm sure that's a pretty cool thing where, say, McDavid gets a hat trick, you had him going, plus 2.5, and he tags it, he capitalizes on that, and you can toss him some money for that. So they're going to be able to post content as well, videos, pictures, just updates about their life. We're really trying to make it a centralized location for athletes to kind of showcase their life.
Awesome stuff. We wish you all the best with that. We have Jimmy Murphy with us here now as well for this Wednesday show. Jimmy, welcome in. How are things with you?
Things are good, my man. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Another very good night of hockey last night. Exciting, crazy games. And that's basically where we'll start now. We've got obviously 2 NHL games last night that took place. We had the Rangers and the Hurricanes. We'll start recapping that. Look, this has been a recurring theme for Carolina now, and it continued last night. Their inability to win on the road, here in the playoffs. That's now 0-5 for the Hurricanes on the road here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They did not win a single game in Boston in the first round, but they won the series in 7. Having home ice is what really got it done for them. And here in this series, again, 2-0 series lead at home. And just like in the first round against Boston, they're going back home for Game 5 with the series all tied up at 2 games apiece. So you got to give the Rangers a lot of credit. They've found some holes in the Carolina defense. The power play has started to, click a little bit. They've started to score on the power play. And more importantly, even when they haven't scored on the power play, during these last two games at Madison Square Garden. Their power play has gotten a lot of chances, a lot of good looks. And, Tyler is someone that's played hockey. I'm sure the coaches always say, right? Your power play can't score, doesn't need to score every time, but it can't kill the momentum. It's at least got to generate chances. You got to press the issue. You can't just be, going back in your own zone, collecting the puck for the whole power play, because it provides a momentum boost for the other team with a big penalty kill. You've at least got to, get some good quality looks, chances, shots on net. And the Rangers did that last night. And their bigger players stepped up for them. Andrew Kopp, who's been sensational with another goal last night for the New York Rangers. A very nice win for them. And look, they're live in this series. As someone that took Carolina to win this series before it started, look, until they lose a home game, I'm not really going to be that frightened for them or scared or worried. But at the same point in time, that's two series in a row where, when you don't win a road game, you let a team back into the series. But it's not so much they let the Rangers back in. I think the Rangers put their way back into the series with the way they've played. And Igor Shesterkin, two phenomenal games in a row as well, in between the pipes for the New York Rangers. I think a lot of that concern we had for him early in the Pittsburgh series in the first round, I think that's going away in a hurry right now with the way he's played lately. Tyler, what did you think of the game last night with Carolina and the Rangers?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I mean, obviously, the New York Rangers have found a way to compete against Carolina. Carolina's a big team, but the Rangers, they're really taking, they're really taking shots at Carolina. I think they're going to end up winning that series. Personally, I think New York wins that series.
You like the Rangers to come all the way back and get it done. Jimmy, I mean, the Rangers, I think you like them. I think everybody liked them in some form last night, just based on the fact we really didn't trust Carolina yet to show up and play win a road game here in the playoffs, which they've still yet to do. But you think the Rangers can? The key now is you got to ask yourself, Jimmy, can the Rangers win one in Raleigh? Because that's what it's going to take.
Yes.
They're not winning this series unless they win one in Carolina, and Carolina is undefeated at home. Do they have the chops to do that?
Yes, I think they do. I really do think they've got good veteran experience. They got good youth that have played in some big game situations now. And obviously, too, they've got what matters most in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the best goalie in this series, hands down. I mean, there's no debating that. And that is not to take away from what Raanta has done, because honestly, I think this series could be 3-1 Rangers right now going back to Carolina if it wasn't for Raanta. He's been that good. And that's an interesting dilemma. I'm sure we'll bring it up going forward, but there's talk now that they might bring Freddie Anderson back and he could start tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, then in game 6. And I just don't know if that's the right move for Carolina. They're not playing bad in front of Raanta. And when they do play a little bad, he's been there to pick them up. So I don't know if that's the right move to do if I'm Brindamore. But look, I think the Rangers can do it. I think the Rangers are going to win game 5. They're going to bring it back. And as I predicted, they will wrap it up at MSG in game 6 and send their old friend Tony D back down to the South where he belongs.
There you go. Tony DeAngelo, send him packing and lose to his former team. I wouldn't even say his former team that cast him aside. He took himself off that team. With the actions of Tony DeAngelo.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall when Georgiev shakes his hand if it comes to that.
I'd love to hear what Gerard Gallant's saying in the dressing room, if anything, about DeAngelo either, because obviously they've been going back and forth in this series as well. Battle of Alberta, the second game last night, Calgary and Edmonton. It's been by far the most entertaining, wildest, craziest series of the second round. There's no question about that. And boy, we thought we had seen everything in this series up until last night. And then we saw one thing in particular we haven't seen yet in this series or for a while. But, if I'm the Calgary Flames, I'm beyond frustrated right now, because last night, I thought for the most part in that game, Calgary had the urgency and the desperation you needed down 2-1, trying to avoid going down 3-1 with the series going back to Edmonton. But unfortunately, Jacob Markstrom, Seward his team in a big way in the first minute. I mean, the horrible, egregious giveaway of the puck right onto the stick of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for the 1-0 goal. And right away, it felt like Calgary was playing an uphill battle. And I was convinced they were trying to play more of a, get 3 to 5 players just frolicking around the neutral zone and try to take away some of that speed through the neutral zone and some of that rush transition offense that the Edmonton Oilers have been absolutely killing Calgary with in this series. But when you're down 1-0 in the blink of an eye so quickly, you can't play that way, because now you got to open up already and try to score because you're trailing that quickly. That's what was so frustrating, I think, about that early turnover by Jacob Markstrom. Then they fell down 2-0, and then Evander Kane, a goal that I thought maybe should have been stopped by Markstrom, makes it because he was just off the angle a little bit, and it beat him leaning to his left, and it ended up 3-0 Oilers at that point. And obviously at that point you think Calgary's in big trouble, but they rallied back, and for the last two periods, I thought they took the play to Edmonton, and finally, the second period, they got it to 3-2, and they were carrying the play in the third period. They looked like they were going to tie it. I don't think anybody expected them to tie the game in the fashion that they did, though. Unbelievable occurrence with Rasmus Anderson basically firing the puck from inside his own blue line. It's just a little bit of a dip that it's just like one of those nose dives, like you're basically diving off a cliff. Essentially, that's what the puck did, and it just took a huge nosedive and went under Mike Smith. He says he didn't even see it. He totally lost track of the puck. But either way, obviously a brutal goal to give up. And as I said on Twitter, and I've said this on Twitter multiple times when Mike Smith's given up a pretty bad goal, Mike Smith just Mike Smith. That's exactly what happened with that tying goal last night allowed. But just when you thought, and at the moment, guys, when I saw that goal in, I thought, man, it feels like Calgary's going to win this game now. Like, man, Mike Smith gave up this horseshit goal, 3-3. And Calgary's got all the momentum. They've dominated this third period so far. They're going to win this game, and my gosh, they could win this series because everyone was going to be talking about that if Calgary won last night. That goal that went in on Mike Smith and how that could be a series-changing moment in a good way for the Calgary Flames, in a horrible way for the Edmonton Oilers. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, of all people, to the rescue to get the game-winning goal, 4-3, a rebound, and obviously Kane put it away with the empty net, 5-3. What a night for Nugent-Hopkins, and what a desperately needed time for him to remember that he's a first-round pick from many years ago, because so many times he has not played like it for the Edmonton Oilers. You always expect someone that was drafted so highly to deliver more than he has for the extended part of the last several seasons, but what a time for him to deliver a 2-goal performance, including the game winner, kind of bailed out Mike Smith for just that horrible goal allowed, and what could have been a talking point and a series-changing point with Calgary had they won that game following tying it up that way. Edmonton survives, and now they've got a 3-1 series lead, and they've got Calgary on the brink here in the Battle of Alberta. And after last night, this is a series that we have clearly seen everything in this matchup here with the Flames and the Oilers. Tyler, I'm sure you're as entertained as anybody with this series. It's been wild. It's been crazy from start to finish.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And especially I want to point out, like McDavid's skating has really just been top notch during this series. I mean, the way he can move on his edges, I know everyone in the NHL wishes they could move it. Everyone that's ever played the game wishes they could move like him. So, I mean, when he's cutting in the middle of the ice and pulling 360s and putting people on their skates, it's impressive. So, I mean, top to bottom, I think that the Oilers, obviously they're up 3-1. I think they're going to take this series and move on to the next.
It's funny. Matt Carey was one of our special guests here on our playoff shows. He teaches kids and does hockey drills in the classes for them. And he was saying to me the other day that he's starting to incorporate some of the stuff that McDavid's doing, turning on a dime and his skating stride to his kids. And I'm like, yeah, you're doing that, but you're doing it at a 1/100th of the speed that he does in that, I'm sure. Yeah. Right. So
you got to start somewhere. Somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what is that? The slow motion version of what McDavid's doing that you're teaching them right now? Probably. But yeah, I kid with that. With Matt, Jimmy, what did you think of last night? Obviously, were you thinking the same thing I was? I mean, it seemed clear as day. Like Mike Smith gives up that goal, Calgary wins that game. It could be a complete and utter series turning point, but instead Edmonton hangs on, and good for them that they did.
Well, I mean, look, not that they haven't been riding the shoulders of Connor McDavid throughout the playoffs, but I think one thing we've seen, even going back to since Woodcroft took over for the Oilers, is that this Oilers team will bend, but they don't break as often. And they have found a way to kind of, summon up that resolve and fight forward when the odds suddenly are stacked against them. Before, they would just cave and they would collapse and, they would just get overwhelmed at the situation. But right now, this Oilers team is doing what you need to do to win in the playoffs, and that's handle everything that's thrown at you. I mean, things aren't going to go your way all the time, but when they don't, you need to find a way to get through it.
You absolutely do, and it's that mental adversity, and that Mike Smith talked about it. RNH talked about it in the post-game press conference. And by the way, you talk about post-game press conferences and a coach that's ascending up the ranks for me in terms of engaging, informative, gives you something with the post-game remarks. Jay Woodcroft is doing that right now for Edmonton. I think he's very fascinating and interesting to listen to. He gives you quite a bit of good scoops and good info and good thoughts and insights from what the coach is thinking, on a nightly basis. Not everybody gives you that. And it's been impressive to listen to him talk throughout this series, throughout the playoff, really since he's been the coach there with the Edmonton Oilers. He gives you a lot. And
do you like him more than
media guy,
Daryl?
you would definitely appreciate that.
Are you liking his takes more than Daryl's takes?
Daryl's are good. Oh, Daryl's a Hall of Fame press conference to me every single
Yeah.
time. He's
Yeah,
classic.
he's awesome.
He's epic. I mean, he's just. What? Like I say, I could go on and on about the memorable quotes he's had. He was asked one time after a game, "What did you say to your team after the game?" He says, "Flight at 11." That's still my all-time favorite. Yeah, Flight at 11. Didn't want to reveal specifically what he was talking about regarding the game, but yeah, you're going to get that from Daryl Sutter. How do you score more one goal in the next game? He says, "Score two." He said that one time in a press conference.
He's a rock star out there, that's for sure.
He is.
He's a rock star.
I mean, it's just absolutely hilarious. He is, and he was happy, by the way, about his team's game. He wasn't, ready to rain, tons of negative criticism on his Flames team for that performance last night. He thought they were really, deserved a better fate in that game and should have won it. So he wasn't that upset with the way things went last night. But at the same time, you have no margin for error now, down 3-1 in this series, and you'll be trying to stay alive tomorrow night back at the Saddle Dome in Game 5. Speaking of trying to stay alive in a Game 5, we've got the St. Louis Blues and the one game tonight taking place trying to stay alive in Game 5 of their series, Western Conference second round against the Colorado Avalanche in Denver, Ball Arena. We've got Colorado minus 260 home favorites here in Game 5. The total 6.5 here across the board in this one. I don't like St. Louis's chances of extending it. I think because of the fact that, with everything that's gone on in this series, obviously what's been, spewed on social media toward Nazem Kadri, which is hideous, which is horrendous stuff. And then you see the Blues players kind of really wanting to, let's be honest, take Nazem Kadri's head off, in Game 4 the other night. You could definitely see they were trying to, they were upset that Binnington got injured, although I think it was just an unfortunate collision. I don't think it was anything close to egregious, dirty, cheap shot type of play from Nazem Kadri that we've seen in the past. It was just a collision that unfortunately didn't end up going well for Binnington in terms of his status for this series. But the Blues were still pissed off, and Kadri did the best thing he could have done, and that's not retaliate with bad penalties, undisciplined play, or a cross check or a slash or something that would have gotten him in the box when the Blues were taking liberties with him. He responded the way everyone wanted to see. Make him pay on the scoreboard, play a hell of a hockey game, score a couple of big goals, and he did more than that. How about 3 big goals? How about a hat trick for Nazem Kadri in Game 4? Just an outstanding performance from him. Avalanche took control of that game, and now they have a chance to end this series. I think they probably do. Husso has been good at times, and then, of course, the roof caved in on him in the second period the other night. But you look at it, the Blues, it's hard for that blue line. I think that blue line, too, might start to get worn down. And it goes back to the absence of Torrey Krug in this series. Krug's a big minutes player, all situations. And now the Blues, all of a sudden, in this series, have to rely on a lot more minutes and a lot more responsibility throughout their lineup when it comes to Nick Leddy's got to play more. Parayko's got to play. Parayko's doing all he can. He's an absolute beast on the blue line, but at the same time, he's also someone that is not infallible to, just maybe wearing down because all the minutes he's playing. Scandella, Falk, they have to play Nico Mikkola and Robert Bortuzzo, their third pair, a lot more. Craig Berube's changing things up on the defensive pairs tonight. Calle Rosen and Perunovic are a healthy scratches tonight after they've played the last few games. So he's trying to search for answers. The problem is, depth on this blue line without Krug's a little bit of a concern. And you're playing this, loaded Colorado team, loaded up front, loaded on the blue line. And how unbelievably lucky and fortunate and an embarrassment of riches is it for the Colorado Avalanche that you lose a quality defenseman like Samuel Girard with the broken sternum? Who do you put in there to replace him? Oh, only Jack Johnson. Only a guy that's been a veteran defenseman who knows his way around the block. Has been in the big playoff games in the past. Won't panic under pressure. Will play with poise because he's got all that experience under his belt. You know how fortunate Colorado is to put someone in the lineup like that when they lose a defenseman. So it's pretty impressive to see. And Jack Johnson obviously was, I think, solid. Steady. In that game 4 that he played coming in the game for Girard, who got injured in game 3 before that. So, I think St. Louis is probably up against it. If you like Colorado, just go with, I would honestly go -1.5. I'd maybe go even further than that, maybe a -2.5. Take a shot with some of these puck lines and some of these alternative puck lines. Because look, if St. Louis is trailing in the third period, they have to go all out to try to win this game to save their season, keep it alive. And you're going to open up the possibility of 1-2 empty net goals. And there's your puck line, kind of like with Edmonton last night, Tampa Bay the night before. I mean, we're seeing a lot of empty net goals for these teams that are leading late in the game. So if you think Colorado is going to close out this series tonight against St. Louis, and you think they're going to have a good chance to lead late in the third period, why not take -1.5? And why not sprinkle a little bit on a -2.5 even with the Avalanche and get a better price on that? So it's probably the way I would look at this game here in terms of the side. As far as the totals go, I mean, certainly the last 2 finally have gone over the total after, just, I think, more bad luck, misfortune for the first 2 games staying under because there were a boatload of chances in both of those games. But, each of the last 2 games end up going over the total. It's an elimination game. I'm not looking to bet any single playoff elimination game under, except maybe when Andrei Vasilevsky is in net for one of those playoff elimination games, because that guy seems to give up 1 goal or less in every recent elimination game for the Lightning. But yeah, this would be over or nothing for me at 6.5. And certainly the third period over will be a bet of mine too pregame. You can usually get over 2, lay some juice with the third period over, which hasn't done as well this year in the playoffs. I will point that out. But like I said yesterday, I'm not abandoning a 2-3 year trend of tremendous success with just a little bit of a downturn here in this year's playoffs. So we'll stick to the third period over as well. Prop wise, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I will for St. Louis, Perron and O'Reilly. I mean, those 2 guys have been their best forwards all series long. Those are the guys I would target for props tonight. Shots on goal, goals, points, all that stuff. And as far as the Avalanche go, I mean, Kadri's got the hot hand. You can't argue with that. Nichushkin, because he's on the top line. So those are props that I'd probably look at. Taves may not play. Taves, we're not sure if it's maintenance. We're not sure if it's an injury. He wasn't on the ice for morning skate. Doesn't mean he's not going to play. But keep an eye on that. We'll see if Taves is in the lineup tonight for the Avalanche on their blue line. Let's get Andrew in here because Andrew just joined. We haven't been able to hear from him yet. Andrew, welcome in. What do you think here? Blues Avs tonight.
What's going on? Good to be here. Look, I think that we've talked about it several times about the average margin of victory and just how this is the largest margin we've seen. I think it was since like 87 or something like that in the playoffs. I mean, it's unbelievable. Both the NBA playoffs and NHL, the series have been good, but those games inside the series, it's been one blowout here, one blowout here. So I'm not a huge puck line guy during the regular season, but right now, if you're a puck line bettor, you've had a lot of success because, look at last night, -110 apiece, Carolina, New York. You could have gotten, in the +200 range with New York. Boom, that cashes in. Empty net goal again happens. Edmonton, they cash in. So I definitely tell people, please, don't lay 260 to win 100 in this game if you like it, especially in an elimination game like this. But I'm going to look towards over 6.5. And a lot of it's because I think that the Blues have tried to play the style of hockey they play when they won the Cup. And that might have kind of gotten away from themselves because they were so great during the regular season, goals per game, second in the league and all that good stuff. But they realized probably they couldn't match up line for line with Colorado. But unfortunately, that's how they're going to have to win. I do not see them being able to win a game where they score 3 goals. I really don't. They'd like to in an ideal world, but I don't see that happening. So do I think Colorado wins tonight? Yes. Do I think it's easy? No. I do think it's a high scoring contest. I do think the third period is the highest scoring period. And yeah, I'll definitely be looking towards that third period over. Chances are, if the opportunity presents itself. My favorite prop play of the day, you talked about this guy already, Ryan O'Reilly over 2.5 shots on goal. DraftKings, you can get, I think it was 135 earlier, 140 potentially now for his shots on goal prop, but I love it's 2.5 and not 3.5. I even like Jordan Kyrou. And for shots on goal for Colorado, I'm going to look towards Arturi Lehkonen in kind of a closeout game, a grinded out type game where you might see a lot of shots that aren't the prettiest of shots, but close to the net. And those are the kind of shots that he gets. And if your book offers it, how about a Darcy Kemper save prop there? Because a guy that's going to get pepper with shots and playing a lot better than some might give him credit for.
Yeah, definitely. Darcy Kemper over saves. I like that because, you got to think St. Louis is firing a lot of pucks toward the net in a must-win game. O'Reilly definitely overshots. Fully agree with that. I'm going to go even further with the goal and the point prop has been automatic until the last game. He actually was off the score sheet. Broke the 12-game point streak for Ryan O'Reilly. The last game, game 4 of this series, but he is one of those players that consistently. I can remember the Blues' recent playoff years when they've been facing elimination. He's come to play every game when they've been in this kind of situation, Ryan O'Reilly. So he's the obvious choice, in my opinion, for a good prop player for the St. Louis Blues tonight in this game. Absolutely. We'll see, I think, him make an impact. No question about that. Kyrou, definitely. Perron, it goes without saying. Perron's running around the ice. I didn't like some of the antics, but boy, he played well.
I hated that. Embarrassment. Yeah. How does
Not
the Department of Safety not deal with that? A flying elbow from like a WWE type move after Kadri scores.
It's almost like it had to connect for them to do something about it.
You could make like compilation videos of all the attacks that went towards Kadri in that last game. Someone just say, hey, do you want to scrap and get it out of the way? That's what hockey's all about. I mean, if they want to fight him, fight him. Let's not target the guy the entire game. I mean, I don't know. It's a disgrace. Sure, Kadri's known for some rough stuff in the playoffs, but that's not the way to go about it. And you know what? He let his game do the talking the same way Evander Kane let Matthew Tkachuk know that his game did the talking as well. And I think that whether or not Evander Kane has as much money as Tkachuk, he has more playoff wins right now.
That's true. I mean, that's the best way you can go. Look, it was Buchnevich. It was obviously David Perron. That was insane how he lost his mind and just basically assaulted Nazem Kadri right there on the ice. And then Braden Shen was trying to get Kadri to drop the gloves at one point during the game. So Kadri had everybody livid with that Blues team the other night. And all he did was he shut them all up by scoring a hat trick and leading his team to victory. So well done, Naz. Like I say, he's maturing before our eyes. And he said it in the post-game press conference. I'm better off helping my team on the ice. I'm more valuable to my team on the ice than watching. And he was absolutely right. Hey, sometimes as you get older, you learn some things. You learn from your mistakes of the past. I think the guy is doing that right now. Jimmy, what do you think tonight? Game 5, St. Louis, Colorado.
Well, I mean, I think, I unloaded yesterday and let you know how I feel about this and how I feel about the St. Louis Blues right now. So I'm going to stick with that. Give me Colorado. I'm going to go with the Colorado minus 2.5.
Plus 190.
Extra puck line. I'm going to go with Andrew on that third period over. And I'm going to go with the over total in the whole game. So Colorado Avalanche clinch it tonight over the racist St. Louis Blues.
And the coach had it, of course, as you know, had a little incident with that many, many years ago when he played. So
you bet he's the real monkey.
Yeah, that's right. Craig Berube. So definitely the Blues in trouble. We'll see if they stay alive here. Tyler, what do you think about this game? What are you liking here? Blues Avs.
Yeah, I'm liking the Avs, and I'm probably going to put down on the over. Money line, 260. It's I don't know. I probably won't touch it, but I'll go with the spread. I like the thought of maybe pushing it to 2.5.
That's a good one. Minus 2.5, which you can get close to plus 180 to plus 190 is what you get with the Avalanche laying 2.5 goals. So there's no question. I think that is something that you can definitely look at here in this game tonight. And because again, if the Blues are trailing in the third period, you could have 1, you could have 2 empty net goals potentially. for the Avalanche because of the fact that it's a must-win game for the Blues. They probably won't hesitate, to take to take Billy Husso out of the net even earlier than normal. But definitely will be interesting to see how that goes. Before we wrap it up, we get to best bets, and then we'll wrap up the show. Tyler, to ask you about your cousin here, Jansen, with Winnipeg. You talked about it, how he got a lot more ice time, a lot more opportunity this year. Of course, next year now they're going to have a new head coach with the team. So I think that's a good thing for him, quite honestly, because it's going to be a clean slate. He's going to be able to go into training camp. If he has a great training camp, the new coach has no preconceived notions about any of these players on the Jets. It's a brand new coach, clean slate. He has a chance to go into training camp, hit the ground running. So your cousin, I think it's a big season coming up for him. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing was, this was his first year where he was fully up in the NHL. Last year, he was going back and forth, which is fine. He's a young player. He's growing. He's developing his game. But, this is going to be a big year for him. I know everyone's super excited for him to go and, prove himself, and obviously getting a new coach and, fresh set. It's going to be good. So I think that's great for him.
Yeah. And will that coach be Barry Trotz? That's the question. He's obviously, they want him. He's a Manitoba guy, Barry Trotz, and there's certainly, but there's problem is there's a lot of other teams that want Barry Trotz. I'm sure a certain Vegas Golden Knights team, no friggin' coincidence in my mind that they turfed Peter DeBoer when they did. But Barry Trotz just became available a few days earlier, and now you're saying goodbye to DeBoer. So you got to believe they're going to be in on the Barry Trotz sweepstakes as well. The Golden Knights. So that's the problem. He's very much in demand, and it's going to be it's like an arms race right now going on in the National Hockey League to see who's going to end up hiring him. A guy that's obviously had a ton of success in his career, including a Stanley Cup. All right, great stuff with Andrew McGinnis, Jimmy Murphy, our special guest, Tyler Harkins. We'll get to best bets to wrap it up in just a second. Also, thanks to everyone for joining us on the BetCast, another nice BetCast. We'll have two of them next week. Starting next week, we're going to have two, because they're going to be shorter betcasts. We're only going to have one game a night. So the betcast will only be 2.5 hours, 3 at the most, depending on how long the game goes. So because of that, we're going to do 2 betcasts a week, starting in the conference finals. So we're definitely looking forward to that next week. And we thank everyone for joining us last night with that. And a reminder about DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers bet just $1 on any NHL team, get $150 in free bets if they win. DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state. You can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN, bet just $1 on any NHL team, get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. I will mention a couple other bets for that Blues-Avs game that I'm probably going to look at in a smaller variety. Plus 160 for both teams to score first period. I am interested in that. What Rich is saying about Avs money line and over 5.5, that combo, I like that quite a bit, actually. At plus 136, that's a good price with that, too. So, just Colorado to win the game, period, and that over 5.5, definitely a good look potentially there. The one concern is the Blues do have heart. The Blues do have pride. They've got character. They've got veterans all over this team. Ton of Stanley Cup winners on this team. They're not going to roll over tonight. So the Avs are going to need to bring it. Avs are going to have to play a strong game tonight to close out this prideful St. Louis team. They're not rolling over, but I think Colorado will bring the right mindset, because I think the Blues have gotten under their skin here these last couple of games, and they want to finish this thing off. All right, we're going to finish this thing off, as in this edition of the Ice Guys, with best bets. Andrew, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Look, I really like that Ryan O'Reilly shot prop. I think no matter what happens in this game, the star players or the top players and experienced players are going to, make their mark. Whether or not they beat Kemper, whether or not they get by the defenders of the Avalanche, that's a different story. But the best part about these props, it could be, a shot right into the chest protector of Kemper to freeze the puck, or it could be a top corner goal, whatever it may be. I'm hoping I see at least 3 shots from Ryan O'Reilly tonight.
All right, Ryan O'Reilly, over 3 shots for Andrew with his best bet. Jimmy, I think I know what your best bet is. It's fading your favorite fade team at the moment, probably.
Yeah, that would be it, guys. Give me that -2.5 on the Avalanche.
All right, -2.5 on the Avalanche. Puck line, +180 to +190 is what you can get with that right now. Best bet for Jimmy Murphy. And great timing for Tyler to rejoin us with some tech issues there just for a second, but he's back. Tyler, best bet. What do you like?
I'm going -2.5 Calgary or Colorado. Sorry.
All right, same thing as Jimmy here, -2.5, and again, that's +180 to +190 with that price on the Avalanche, laying 2.5 goals in this one for best bet. My best bet here, I'm going to end up going with. It's tough with just the one game. I'm going to go Colorado minus. I'm just going to go with the safer option a little bit. I mean, I don't mind the -2.5, but I'm going to go with -1.5 here. -1.5 even money with the Colorado Avalanche, -1.5 +100 for the -105. I think the -2.5, I'll jump in on that a little bit too, because that's a great price with that. But yeah, I think Colorado wraps it up. And obviously with the -1.5, there's going to be a great chance for them to extend the margin late. We've seen this occur all playoffs. Rich with the stat for us in the chat too. 9 of the 10 St. Louis playoff games have been decided by 3 goals or more. 9 of the 10 St. Louis playoff games decided by 3 goals or more. So makes the puck line option even more appealing. So Colorado -1.5 for me for best bet. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And we thank our special guest, Tyler Harkins, for joining us as well. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast if you can't watch the show live. Tyler, just some final thoughts from you. Just great to have you on, and hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I wanted to tap in and say something here. You brought up Torrey Krug. He's actually a good family friend of ours. My uncle Brett, who's a current scout for the Boston Bruins, he lived with him when he was playing junior hockey in CompuWare. So my uncle lived at the Krug family's house, and we've got a great relationship with the whole family. They're awesome.
There you go. So a seal of approval for Torrey Krug and his family there for Tyler. Good stuff.
Tyler, you got any scoops for me? You know I cover the Bruins, right?
He's a Bruins writer.
I got to keep those locked up. Those are in the vault.
How much are you willing to pay, Jimmy?
I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah, exactly.
How much? Guinness.
Perfect.
All right, good stuff. All right, great show. For Andrew McGinnis, Jimmy Murphy, our special guest, Tyler Harkins, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.